Hi, welcome to another edition of what we laughingly call Sword Talk. And it's quick on the heels of, I guess it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago that I showed you the new ones that came in. They thank you very much. They all sold within 24 hours. So that was good news, and I'm happy for it. And I thank you for your comments. I also want to thank you all for forwarding this to friends or enemies or whoever you're forwarding it to. We're getting new people viewing this each time. So thank you. To explain to those people, since there are a lot of people coming in for the first time, my name is Tom. My website is carmelsamuraicompany.com. carmelsamuraicompany.com. If you go there, you'll find a little bit about me and my project, The Eight Samurai. There are no antiques listed on the website. This is what we do during Saw Talk, as I talk about an antique or so that's for sale that has come in. They just don't last long enough for me to put them on the website. So I've gotten to the habit of just doing a Saw Talk, sending it out, and selling them that way. I've only been in the antique samurai business for 15 months. And today's sword is the first sword that I ever bought and then sold. I just reacquired it a few days ago. Interesting story. Before we get to see the sword. So I have dealt for the last 4 or 5 years just in my project, the Eight Samurai. And I would, as a free service, broker antiques for clients, just as it says on my website. If you're interested in an antique sword, I'll put you in touch with collectors or dealers, reputable dealers, and you can deal direct with them, and there's no charge for that service. And a client of mine said, "Why don't you do it?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to stay in my lane. You know, it's not something I want to do." And then I sat down, and I actually figured out that I had brokered in 2 years. I had brokered about $250,000 in antique swords. So I said, well, just maybe I do want to do that. Plus, it's fun. But the way I got into it was completely by accident. I'm at the San Francisco Sword Show 15 months ago, and I'm meeting a woman coming from the East Coast. She's bringing about a dozen swords in from her late husband's collection. He had a serious collector, several hundred pieces that she wants to dispose of, because her family doesn't want it. So, which tends to be the case with kids now, that they don't want to inherit the stuff. So she was there to sell me for a client a daisha set, a katana and a wakizashi made by the same smith, with the same fittings, beautifully done. These are not all that rare, but the one of this quality was. And so I was there to buy it for a client. And while I was there, this was laying on the table, and I went, "Oh, that's pretty." It's it's a wakizashi, so shorter than a katana. It has that cream color that I seem to be buying a lot of lately. This is my third, I guess, in this motif. I like it. You guys like it. It shows really well. It's kind of pretty. Anyway, I saw it, and she said, "You want to buy that?" I said, "Oh, well, hold on. I'm not a collector, and I'm only here to buy that." But she said, "Well, go look at it." So, and again, it was pretty to look at, but when I opened it up, I literally gasped, and that's a word you don't hear very often in normal conversation. And it's also a terrible negotiating tactic if you're looking to buy something. It's not good to say, "Oh my God, I love this. This is fantastic." I think the price, goes up. But I told her, I wasn't interested in buying it, and she said, "Well, look, make me an offer. I've got hundreds of pieces to sell. Make me an offer." So after a little round of, basically saying I'm really not interested, but I guess I kind of was. we settled on a price, and I had my first antique sword. Well, I showed it to everybody I know, and they all said, "I'll buy it from you." I said, "No, this is my sword. This is my sword." And a friend of mine flew into town, and he is a fellow. We used to practice together and train together, and he came in town. He said, I want to start an antique collection, and this is the perfect sword to start with. And I think he's right, because I said to him, even if this is the only sword you ever have, you got a nice collection. Just lose one sword. Anyway, he liked it. He insisted on buying it. And so I sold it. Took that money, bought 2 other antiques. Took that and bought 2 other, and then sold those and bought 3 others. And you know how that goes. Before I knew it, I was in the antique samurai business. And having a ball. I'm just really having a ball getting these in, getting to enjoy them and passing along the savings. As you know, we name each sword, and we have books. Every client gets. Well, I say this because there's a lot of new people out there today. Everybody gets a book. Talks about the whole history of the sword. Has photos of all the fittings and the pieces, the provenance, the history of ownership, as much as we know. And the books can go up to 75 pages. That's for the big 8 Samurai series, where we do the whole big compilation. The antiques, usually about 12 pages to describe the sword and include the antique certifications papers. So I'm going to show you the sword, but I'm going to save the blade for last, because once you see that, the ends, you don't want to notice anything else. So nice presentation, good size. The fittings are excellent. It is the theme is called Chiburi, which is, let's get the light on that, which is birds in flight over the ocean. The black background, that blue-black background, is Shikudo. It's a combination of gold and copper, and it's very detail carved, and then the gold birds are inlaid into the design. That's here on the end of the butt and also here at the front of the handle. The tsuba, the sword guard, carries out that theme. It has a rope design, which you can't really see all the detail on the video. And it has the gold chiburis that are inlaid on the rim. It's called Sukashi, which is an open work. Very nice, very artistic. I want to also thank you. The people who are commenting, the people who buy the items always say, "Gee, it looks so much better in person than the videos." I apologize for that. I'm working off my iPhone here, but I'm glad it's that way and not the other way around. I'm glad that when you see it, it's like way more gorgeous than you thought it was going to be, because they really are gorgeous. Otherwise, I don't buy them. I buy now 1 in every 100 pieces that I see. That's how many I see per month from collectors. And I now have people in Japan who advertise for me. We buy heirlooms from families, so we get a really good price. So we pass along those savings to you. We stay away from dealers normally, because they mark it up, and then it loses the bargain aspects. Whereas the families are selling off. The economy's really bad in Japan. The young people don't want the old stuff anymore. So we're taking advantage of a buyer's market. Benefits me, benefits you. Get some great pieces. All right, the saya is alternating black and brown stripes, very nicely done, and covered in urushi and clear lacquer. But here's the big deal. Sword is named Visions of Heaven, based on this incredibly unique and artistic design. The hamon, the pattern in the steel, is both artistic and functional. It's a clay tempera kind of mixture that's put on the blade right before the final forging. It strengthens the steel. It delineates the edge. The edge of the blade is the hard steel. As you get towards the center, it's the soft steel. And then, of course, the back, the mune, is the hard steel again. So the design on it is put there by the artist. He uses a kind of a secret recipe mixture to put on the blade. Old family secrets, each one differs. And when he, at the final of forging, after 2-3 months of working on the blade is kind of a rough looking steel. And then he puts this clay mixture on it. And he goes into a completely black, darkened room, except for the light of the forge. The master determines when the forge is hot enough just by vision and experience. And he plunges the sword, well, actually he inserts the sword into the fire first, into the forge. Stokes it, decides when it's hot enough, pulls it out for a few seconds, and his expertise determines whether it's 2 seconds or 7 seconds, and then plunges the entire sword into a trough of extremely cold water. What happens then is, because of the mixture on the steel, the steel contracts at a different rate along the blade. So it literally comes up like that. That gives it that sweeping curve. He's designed it so that he knows in advance how much of a curve, there's going to be in it. It's the great talent of the master. And then he sends it to the polisher, who brings out the final design. And that's why the polisher is the longest apprenticeship. We've talked about the 7 masters who make a sword. They all have to follow an unpaid apprenticeship of 5 to 7 years, but the polisher, 5 to 9 years, but the polisher is 14 years. 14 years apprenticeship before you get your license to be a samurai polisher, because he can destroy the sword or bring out its beauty. He's the one who brings out the hamon on the final polishing. And polishing means he's taking steel off so he can ruin a blade. And so he has to really know what he's doing. He works from a selection of over 2,000 grinding stones. He selects which ones that blade needs. Some of these stones are $1,000 an ounce. Yeah, it's true. I looked it up. We all know the Japanese are fanatical about the samurai sword. Anyway, this is an antique. The smith who did this, well known for his unusual design. The best way to see these designs is actually holding them up to the light and moving them, because the patterns disappear and appear. You see, the pattern exists at different levels of the steel. Doesn't that sound fantastic? It does. So they're works of art. This one, extremely unusual. The collar, which we call the habaki, and the ones I buy usually solid gold. This one is solid silver, and it has a very detailed carving of cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms, of course, the great emblem of samurais. They love it. It follows their Bushido code. The blossom is quick to bloom, quick to die. And the samurai had to get over any fear of death. So Cherry Blossom Festival is the big festival in Japan. All relates to the samurai, the cherry blossom. It's a gorgeous blade. Again, I named it Visions of Heaven. It's now back and it's for sale. And it's for sale at the same price that I pay. There's no reason to double dip on this one. I've already sold it once, and so I've reacquired it. So you get it if you're interested in the same price I pay for it. There's no markup on this one. And I think it's beautiful. I'm happy to have it back. I love seeing it every day. And it's available. And if you want more questions on it, email me. If you want more more detailed photos, I can send you those. I've also purchased a new katana. After the big sales of the last 3 weeks, I took that money, and as you know, I recycle all the money. We've taken no money out of the project. If I sell one, the money goes into buying another one or two other ones. In this case, I bought a new katana. I didn't have a katana in antique inventory, and it's gorgeous. And I'm not going to tell you any more about it, other than it's called Dragonfly because the motif on it are dragonflies, and the carvings are excellent. Blade's excellent. That'll take about a month to get here. That'll probably be the next sword talk. In the meantime, Thanksgiving is 2 days away. Have a great time with your family, and happy holidays. And I'll talk to you when we have new swords in its sword talk. Thanks.